May the 22nd, that's when the 6th Parliament began in earnest as MPs were sworn in. And after the formalities were dispensed with, it was time to get down to business, with the Chief Justice presiding over the first sitting.
Our country has challenges. Meditate about the solutions to corruption, to crime, to anything of concern that you have.
MPs took turns swearing in their allegiance to the Constitution. Others took to the stage in style.
Chief Justice, I accept.
Thandi Modise was elected as the Speaker unopposed, succeeding Baleka Mbete, who did not come back to Parliament. The swearing in of David Mabuza was delayed after he wanted to first clear his name with the ANC's Integrity Commission. A month later, President Ramaphosa was back for the State of the Nation address in a joint sitting, giving marching orders to the nation.
Now is the time for implementation. And it is for this reason that as we went throughout the country, our people were saying, talking time is over. We now want action. We want implementation, and we want it now.
With the National Executive constituted, it was time for Parliament to set up its committees to exercise oversight on the executive branch of government. Among those nominated by the ANC to chair various oversight committees were people whose names were tainted.
Faith Mutambi, Spiso Mutilizi, Mosebenzi Zwane, Bongani Bongo was accused of bribing one of the advocates who used to work here in the ESCOM inquiry. I mean, how do you defend those characters? I mean, by nominating them to serve in these key portfolio committees.
The law allows them to be members of parliament because they have not been found guilty on anything by a court of law. Allow the natural justice, law of justice, to take its own course.
It cannot hold us back not deploying a comrade because we believe on the presumption of innocence until proven guilty. On the ANC side, they've been subjected to integrity commission, all of them.
In August, President Ramaphosa was back in the National Assembly to answer oral questions, this time haunted by the ghost of Bosasa donation towards his campaign for the ANC presidency.
This is perhaps the appropriate time for this House to consider whether it is necessary and desirable for funding of internal party contests to be disclosed and regulated.
Ramaphosa called for internal party disclosures to apply across the board and to all political parties. Again, he was confronted about a further 3 million rand donation to the ANC by Bosasa.
Will you undertake today to ensure that the ANC repays to the fiscus all the money received from Bosasa?
Please give me that letter and I will reflect on it.
As the scourge of gender-based violence continued unabated, a special sitting of Parliament was called to express the collective outrage of the country's lawmakers.
In the townships, you've been killed anytime, anywhere, by anyone with impunity because there is no law.
Criminals do not fear the police or our courts or correctional services.
On the economic front, Finance Minister Tito Mboweni warned during his medium-term budget policy statement that expenditure was continuing to outstrip revenue and that national debt was spiraling out of control. But he also addressed the elephant in the room, the floundering ESCOM.
ESCOM must do the following. One, run their current plant and equipment better. 2, achieve other operational efficiencies, including better cash management. 3, fast-track the separation of the utility into the 3 parts as endorsed by the political principles.
Parliament finally sacked its secretary, Gengezi Mgidlana, following a protracted disciplinary process. It also endorsed the president's decision to fire senior NPA prosecutors Nomgcobo Jiba and Lawrence Mkhwebi, and approved rules to remove the head of a Chapter 9 institution.
We welcome the envisaged role of the panel that will only be to assess the existence and non-existence of evidence, that of establishing whether an office bearer has a case to respond to and whether the Assembly should proceed with an inquiry or not.
Parliament is also working frantically to amend the Constitution to allow for expropriation without compensation.
I think that the inputs that have been made here have empowered legal services to finalize the bill for gazetting so that we are within the time frames. And gazetting does not conclude the matter. It really just lays a foundation for the process to move forward.
MPs put aside their political differences and wished each other an enjoyable festive season, with one of the longest-serving MPs saying he was going nowhere just yet.
It is usually our chief whip, as you know, who should be delivering these remarks. So when you see me rising to the podium, I'm sure you wonder if it means that a big announcement is coming. The answer, honorable colleagues, is no. Not yet.
Honorable members, this then concludes the farewell speeches and the business of the session. Thank you.
Bulelani Phillip, SABC News, Parliament.